new project because I want to make sure I'm controlling what the layout looks like. So I'm going to call this one text and image because that's our topic for today. I can double check what my size is. Notice that it's in pixels. I want to do it in inches so that I know it's going to be 8.5 by 11. Please remember that that is the size that's required on the statement there, on the instructions. Next, I'm going to change the DPI to 300 so I make sure it's ready for print. Normally, we would do something that's like 72 for web, 300 for print. I just want to get you guys used to changing it and reminding you how to do that. So please change it to 300 for me today, just so we can make sure we know how to do that. Go for it, Jack. What's up?
Open in place, right?
Yes, sir. File, open in place. Awesome. I've got a little set of them here set up. Let's pick this picture of erasers first. So you might notice this comes from what we looked at yesterday. Hold shift to drag it so it stays in proportion and hit the check mark when I'm done. So what I want to do is replace the text that's on here with text of my own. My suggestion always when you're doing something like this is to duplicate the background layer when we're retouching so that we have an original behind it that we can always go back to if stuff is messed up. So I'm going to go here to my erasers layer in my layers panel. I'm going to right click on it and hit duplicate layer. Other way you can do that is to go to layer and choose duplicate layer. So if you're not using a mouse, if you're just using like a click pad on a Chromebook, you would go there. All right. So now I have erasers and I have erasers copy. So if I mess something up super badly, I have that original data behind it always. I'm going to zoom in so I can see a little bit better. And I want to take this text off. So I'm actually going to use the healing brush, the spot healing brush, and maybe the patch tool today. So my spot healing brush is going to work just like any other brush. I can use the bracket keys to change the size. And it asks me if I want to rasterize. That's fine. I know I'm going to edit this, so it's okay. And I can just click on it. And it's going to guess, based on the surrounding pixels, what I want that to look like. A little bit slow. Oh, see, look, it's guessing for me, and so it thinks I want that O still. If I want to tell it exactly what to sample from, I'm going to use the healing brush instead of the spot healing brush. So the spot healing brush guesses for you. The healing brush, you tell it what you want. I do that by using the Alt key or Option key on my keyboard. So see here, if I click it, it says select clone source by holding Alt or K and clicking on the image. So I'm going to hold Alt and click, and it gives me this little target. I say, yes, look like this. And now you can actually see the sample here, and it will sample from there and cover it up. You can change the size of the brush. You can change the hardness of the brush. You can change where it samples from if you want to add a little bit more. Clean it up here. This one's kind of fun if you want to like take somebody's nose off and put like another eyeball there where their nose would be. You would sample what the eye looks like and then brush it over the top of the nose. And then right over the top here. Oop, that's my original sample coming through. So let's hit Alt again to sample from here. And then I can paint it out. Ta-da! Okay, so here's my new layer and my original. I can put my text on top there. T is for type. You can type whatever you want on here, turn it sideways so it looks like that layout, but then you can change what all these little objects look like if you go through and clean them all up. This one has a ton of different things on here. You don't have to have as many in your sample. If you wanted to, that's how you would do it. So again, let's do this brightly colored one. I like these pink ones. So let's go where it says magenta here. Again, I'm going to switch to the spot healing brush because I want it to guess for me right now. And I'm just going to paint that text out. Computer magic. Ta-da! There it goes. Boom. So I was doing it in little chunks so you guys could see it. But you you can actually hold it down and paint a whole chunk out at the same time, and it goes a little bit faster. Okay, so again, I'm on my erasers copy layer so that I have these just in case I go something like this, and I messed up the seam between them, I could always go back and bring that data back. Right here, I could just hit Command Z, but if I'd gone too far and then I realized that I'd done that and I don't want to move backwards in my history panel, remember you have the history panel here too as well, I would use that original erasers layer, and I can play with them a little bit. Okay, so that's my erasers here. Using the healing brush and the spot healing brush, I thought erasers were appropriate for the topic. Computer magic. Ooh, see, sloppy. So that one I want to sample and tell it what I want it to look like. You can kind of force it a little bit, but it might still give you weird data there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out again to sample healing brush instead of spot healing brush. Let's close this guy. Don't save. Now I'm going to open a different one. New project again, 8.5 by 11, 300 dpi. I'm going to turn this down so it'll load a little bit faster, just so you guys, while I'm doing this, it won't take forever. I'm going to place an image in it, File, Open in Place. Choose David Bowie now. So he's got a nice little color cast over the top here. And I'm going to use my sketch. So if you did any hand-drawn type or doodles and you want to put them on top of your image, let's say you're combining things together in that way, you would do the same thing. So File, Open in Place. I've got a sketch of a flower here. And I want to change how that looks on the background. Do we have any idea of what would I do to change so this all the white goes away? Got a hint? This is why we review. Okay, so blending modes. Blending modes are probably my second most awesomely favorite thing that Photoshop and whatever the heck you want to call this program, Photopea, does. So if we go to the peony layer, that's my flower here, in my layers panel, notice that right now it's on normal. You can change it to multiply, which is going to eliminate all of the white, super, super, super easy, or you can change it to screen, which will get rid of all of the black. This is a really handy, super easy tool if you did a drawing and took a picture of it with your phone and then want to use it as part of your project. To use multiply and screen blending modes is very, very, very handy. Okay, let's take a look at one more thing before I leave you guys to your own devices. Two things, actually. Let's do, what if I want to do something like this? What do we notice about this image here and the text? Yeah, so we'd have to do some layering here, right, with the text. So we see how the figure is over the top of where it says Vogue, and then on the bottom here, it's over the figure itself. So one, the figure is over it. The other one is kind of, we're thinking about layers, right? So if we go to our image here, and we want to have some text behind him and some text on top, what will we have to do? That's exactly what I would do. So I'm going to duplicate this layer just so I have a background one that I'm like, nothing is wrong with this one. I know it's the way it was originally, and I'm going to work on my copy layer. Then I'm going to cut him out. So there's a bunch of different ways we can do that. Remember, we have our selection tools. You could use any of these guys. Lasso select, polygon select, magnetic lasso select. You have tons of options. Quick select, magic wand. I'm going to use magic wand. I like that one for now. I got my magic wand here, and I'm going to click this pink here. Notice how it picked that one. I'm going to hold the shift key so I can select the other side as well. And now I've got that pink selected. I can actually use a mask, which will then make it disappear there. Yeah, like that. And I could fill this all in with that pink. Or you could do the opposite. Take a look at my mask over here. See how the black is on the inside. Remember, anything painted with black disappears. Anything painted with white appears. I'm going to use Command I to invert it. Now you'll see that the figure is there and the background is going to be just that white. So I'm going to take that color. I want to sample the pink. So I'm using my eyedropper to sample the color. Notice how my foreground color changes down here. I'm going to go to my background. I can select my background, hide all these guys so you can see it. I'm actually going to use the magic wand again to pick the whole thing and hit Edit, Fill, using my foreground color, that's this one. You can also select it here as well and use the eyedropper here, but I went ahead and did it early and hit OK. Now my whole thing is pink, and I have this cut out of my figure as well. So now I can go Command D to deselect, or Control D, put my type on here, and write the word type. It's really tiny, I need it to be much bigger. I can move it. It's a little large, we can't quite see it all the way. I made it move too big here. We can change the font as well. Let's make it something a little weird. There we go. Okay, so let's do this one. Destroy. Ta-da! And I can change my type. I can rotate it. I can modify it all the same ways that I'm used to. Let's switch it here. I'm actually going to stretch it a bunch sideways. You can see now that it's behind the figure. If I want to put type on top of him, now what do I do? If I want to have a type on top.
Make a layer for it.
Beautiful, right? So I just make sure that I'm in the top layer here, because before, remember, I'm underneath David Bowie, right? I'm on top of the pink, but I'm underneath David Bowie. I can click T. I'm going to go to the top here, click T for type, and then I can put something, we'll put the word top here, and I can change the size of that, and I can change the font of it. And you can move it just like anything else. So make sure you know where you are in your layers panel as you go to organize all of your different types. Remember to change and rotate things. You need to have this box where it says transform controls clicked on when you're on your move tool at the top here. So you got your move tool and you have transform controls clicked on. That's going to give you these little anchor points to move around and change the size of. And so you can turn the transform controls on and off that way. Other things that you can do, if you want to put a little sketch on here and you want to do it by hand, let's say you didn't draw something on your sheet of paper, you instead want to do it by hand. How would I put, like, let's say a little white doodle on top of this with a white brush, maybe? What would I do? Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to click this new layer. I like to use the one that's at the bottom of the layers panel. You can also go layer, new, right? Make a new layer. See, it's here. I'm going to label mine so I can keep it on track. This one, draw. And I can move it wherever I want it in the stack. So I have mine at the very top here. I'm going to change my color. I don't want my color brush to be that pink anymore. I want it to be the white. And now I'm going to select the brush. Remember, you can pick all different kinds of brushes as well. I'm just going to keep a simple one. Pencil's working a little faster. Okay, so same thing. You can do a little sketch here. Let's say it's on top. You could write your words out, whatever you want to do. And then if you want it to be behind your figure, you just move it in that layers step.